If you are wondering, because on my TikTok live, they're like, is that Bradley from Generations? Is it Sean from Big Stage? Is it
Jacobs.
Tino from
Martins.
Scandal? Martins. Do you think that they have, or you have been stereotyped into playing colored characters? Or do you feel like you have had opportunities to play characters that had nothing to do with you being a colored man?
To be honest, I don't know how convincing I will be being a Zulu guy from
No,
KZN.
not even a Zulu guy, but
know?
that like when they started Grey's Anatomy, they did blind casting.
Yes.
So the characters, nothing about their roles had anything to do with who they were.
Yeah.
So have you ever found yourself, though, taking on a character where there were no, in inverted commas, stereotypes? Like, yes, you being a colored person, you're going to be a colored person, but they never played into those things.
No, for sure. I think I've been very picky with, with what it is that I want to say with my choices, Obviously, Sean was great when I started Backstage, which was a revolutionary show. It changed how TV was made in South Africa. It changed everything, right? The way that it was lit, the way that it was written, and just the mixture of cast members that they had and story, obviously.
And real, actual artists. All types. So the singers, the dancers.
Yes. Then after that, Generations, for me, was like an easy gig because biggest show in South Africa. It's a gift to be on something like that. But then that's kind of like where it kicked in for me, I was there for about 3 years. I wanted to know if the character was going to grow, where they wanted to take the character. And then when I took a step back, I actually got a bit salty about it, because...
Really?
Yeah, because when I looked at it, that character actually represented all of the negative stereotypes that people see colored people as. Let me just tell it to you, right?
Yeah.
So my first scene that I did in Generations, Bradley came from where? Prison. He was just released from prison. That stereotype that, colored guys, they are dangerous, prison. He got a job at Back of the Moon doing what? A barman.
Bartending work.
Colored guys like drinking, boozing, okay? Then he had dyslexia.
Yes.
So we can't read or write. We are not educated. His mother was Anne de Villiers, who ran a brothel. And she was a madam, a prostitute, saying that colored people come from that, And when there was no growth for that character, that thing made me really cross, because this is not why I'm put in this industry. I'm not just here to earn a salary and to fill my pockets and to become famous and become a brand and celebrity. And I am not interested in any of those things. I'm interested in evoking and bringing about change. There are people that need to see their own kind in a positive light so that they can believe that there is something better for them out there,
And it's so interesting what you're mentioning, because these conversations happen in advertising about stereotypes.
Yeah.
And when you think about a platform like Generations, which I also had my stint there,
Yes.
it was meant to be, when it started, the epitome of what black people could be, an advertising firm and all of these things. And only now, as you're speaking, I'm thinking to myself, what have colored roles or roles played by colored actors been saying on screen? I think now things are changing a little bit. And because I sit in so many meetings where the conversation is like representation,
Yeah.
I'm curious as to your thoughts of, if we want representation in our country where there aren't just black people or Nguni speaking people, there are a multitude of people, would you rather that a colored story be excluded if it is only all those bad stereotypes that you mentioned?
Yeah, I think so. I think we have moved past that, I mean, it's a reality of what it is like to be a brown person in South Africa predominantly, I mean, you go take a look at Lavender Hill, you go take a look at all of those places in Cape Town. They look exactly the same way they did 70 years ago.
Wow.
How is there no evolution and no growth and no forward going movement? That thing for me is a bit disturbing. So I don't necessarily want to perpetuate that type of language. And I know, I mean, this can be questionable to say like, okay, but so what about your latest role playing this character? You
On
know,
Kings of Joburg.
on Kings of Joburg.
Yes.
The difference between that for me is this is now actually taking a minority group and introducing them in their authentic state to 190 countries all across the world. It's different.
Yes.
We're not just reselling it to ourselves to either laugh at certain situations or make ourselves feel okay about certain situations. You know, what's happening in Cape Town, and even to a large extent in the story of Kings of Joburg, is what's happening in this country.
I need you to repeat the story you just said to me off air. I mean, I know we were giggling earlier because we know it's like, if you know, when you're like a hood school, there are kids much older in certain classes.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned the part about the realities of the gang violence. But the reason I want you to share what you just shared with me is because some people don't understand the level of how wild it is. So you were in school, and what were some of the things that were happening?
Yeah, so obviously, you know, when you're in school with a couple of kids who are gang affiliated, and they live in. So I went to New Orleans Senior Secondary School, right? Great school, great spirit. Right opposite is Chicago. They call it Chicago. So what they used to do back in the apartheid days, they gave these names to these areas to actually, I would say, poke fun at the people. We have Chicago, we have New York, we have Brooklyn, we have New Orleans. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So what would happen then if if a general got released from prison, a high-ranking general, and there were turf wars between affiliated, opposing gangs, then sometimes there would be shootouts from the flat straight into our school.
That is so scary. And when you say generals, we talk about rankings, excuse me, of like members of numbers gangs and things like that.
Yeah. I mean, it was, we used to joke about it when you have to walk home from school, you have to be careful that you don't get stabbed or robbed or stuff like that. And if by chance there had to be gang fights on school, I mean, it wasn't, it was kind of like normal to see people either get stabbed and then the police would come in. That was like kind of like normal life. That's just like another Thursday.
So you saying what you said about the fact that these places look exactly the same, how does it make you feel when you see where Cape Flats, all of the areas, your Lavender Hills, are still kind of the same, yet Cape Town is celebrated, as a tourist destination, as the government that's performing well, and.
Yeah. It's a major travesty when you are successful in your endeavor to ensure that people don't dream anymore. And that's what I feel.
That is so painful.
I feel that's what it is like to be a brown folk, we have people that made it out and people who are successful and affluent and stuff like that. But I mean, generally speaking, when you are able to put the fear in people that dreaming is pointless. It's pointless to envision that you can have a different experience of life, and this is what it is. It was like that for the people before you. It's going to be like that for your kids. You're not going to make it out. You're not anything special. No one sees you. No one really sees your pain. No one cares about you, really, and then gaslight you when you talk about it. That's the thing that's painful for me about it. So I'll be honest when I say I feel like healing in South Africa needs to happen on a spiritual level, all of this talking and all of this doing, but we don't have the true spirit of love in our hearts for each other. We don't really, because if we did, we wouldn't be so okay with seeing each other suffer and not do anything about it. Not even have a prayer of love for your fellow South African in your heart when you see them every day. We need it.
It's very emotional stuff, and I see the lions are going crazy now. What's most heartbreaking about what you said, and we're going to go to the news shortly, is just the fact that if a kid doesn't even have the dreams, like at least the imagination and the dreams can keep the fire burning about your passion for wanting to live. And if that is gone, like it's so normalized, everybody's desensitized, and it's heartbreaking.